Hi, welcome to SBR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. This is the Into the Weekend with BetDSI show for NFL Week 13. We have Brent, the headlines manager from DSI Sportsbook, on the phone, and of course we shoot the NFL segments on Friday afternoon. So that means we have the results from the Thursday games already in the can. Brent, so I have to ask you about the Hail Mary pass from last night. Sent the game from Lions and under to Packers and the over. I'm assuming that the public was on the Packers and the over. How much did that result change things for you?
It changed things dramatically. I mean, it was a terrible result for us, to put it that way. As you saw the line move too, I mean, early in the week, I mean, there were some like 47.5 on the total. There were definitely 47s all over the board. If you notice, it's closed, almost everyone closed at 46. So that was sharp money betting the under. Public was still betting the over. The side, the same thing. I mean, that line was even 3 sometimes during the week. Closed at 2 a lot of places. I closed at 2.5. So again, that was a lot of sharp money coming on the Lions. I had a pretty big decision because I was comfortable with all the sharp money that was coming in on the under, all the sharp money that was coming on Detroit. I was like, okay, we're going to ride this out and be on the same side of the sharp. So it set up as a really good situation for us. Halftime was really good for us, and the end result was not very good for us. And you know how guys call up in those radio shows and say, I've got a friend who's got this problem. Well, I know someone who had the under 47, the plus 2.5. Green Bay's team total under 24.5, and even looking further ahead, had like Minnesota to win their division at 8-1.
Unbelievable.
He's not too happy today, Peter.
I had the Lions in the under as well, and I turned the game off at halftime, and I was like sitting there talking to myself in my house saying, Peter, you are the man. You are so good at this. Then I saw the final score. Couldn't believe it, but I guess that's just the way the NFL works, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those things. Like if you had Detroit last night and you had the under, I mean, you lost the bet, so you're okay. You were wrong, but really, if you look at it, it's like, nah. I mean, you were really on the right side there. It's just kind of there. And the thing that I always go back to, and it's just, we're especially in the sports industry, it drives you crazy. Is when you're expecting good things from bad teams, you got to think twice.
Well, let's take a look ahead to some of the upcoming spreads from Week 13 on the Sunday slate of games. Maybe more of this craziness will happen. Maybe more times there will be people on the right side losing, people on the wrong side cashing. We'll see how it turns out. First game I want to ask you about, Philly and the Pats. Right now, you tell us week in and week out that the public is basically always on the Pats. Now they're coming off a loss. They're a huge favorite against Philly. Obviously, Philly is a team that is in complete shambles. Is the public huge on the Pats once again? Yeah,
the count is I mean, just on straight bets is about 3-1 in favor of New England. When you take a look at the straights, parlays, and teasers all together, we're talking, it's almost like 5-1. So it's a real big chart. I mean, we're sitting at New England -9 right now. That line has dropped down as I did get some sharp money on Philadelphia, so we're kind of in a good position there. Now, when the line was 10, I had guys buying a half point, 9.5. Even they were buying a full point up to 10.5. So it seems that 10.5 is really a key number for the sharp guys out there. We're sitting at 9 right now, total of 49. Took a reasonable bet on the over 48, which drove it up to 49. But it's one of those cases where that line could come back, and people really haven't touched the total a whole lot. And I think weather probably factors into that one as well. This is one of those cases where we're going to need Philly to show up because we've got so much public money on New England. And I think the line's probably going to hang around where it is right now, Peter.
All right, and then I have to ask you about Carolina Panthers, right? Week in and week out, they are covering. The public has taken notice and is usually on them, and I'm guessing here as a big road favorite against the Saints, especially in light of how awful the Saints looked offensively last week. Big public play on Carolina once again, right, Brent?
Yeah, the public is all over Carolina, and I mean, why not? Again, I mean, and then we're sitting right now, I mean, 7-15. I could see that being 7 flat or more game time. Total sitting at 50 as well, which we expect with the New Orleans defense. And you got an 11-0 team on the road laying a touchdown against a 4-7 team, and you just, I don't know, it sets up bad, I think, for us because we're going to need New Orleans to show up, and I don't know if they're going to. Looking at just the straight bets, my count is about 2-1 in favor of Carolina. When I look at the parlays and teasers and everything, it's like New England. It's like 6-1, all one-sided. So this is a case where I don't have any sharp money on either of the sides. I've got some respectable money on the under, but I mean that total just keeps hanging around 50, 49.5 and 50 because there's just so much money, mostly public money on the over as well. The total itself is getting about 3-1 in terms of the actual number of wagers I've taken on the over. My money slightly favors the under because I've taken bigger bets on the under. But I mean, if you're looking in terms of public action, Carolina cover and over would not be very, very good for us.
Okay, and then the next game I want to ask about, Seattle at Minnesota. This is an interesting one. Minnesota, like Carolina, has been an ATS covering machine this year, and I know that a professional handicapper who I really respect has a game of the year play on this one. I don't know what his pick is. I'm assuming it's on Minnesota. It could be on Seattle, though. I don't know. Has there been any sharp action on this game so far, and is the public favoring Minnesota here?
Come on, Peter, spill the beans. You know who it is.
No, I definitely don't know what it is. I mean, I wouldn't, probably if I had pushed him, he might have given it to me up, but I don't like to be like that. I don't like to abuse my position of power here on camera and SPR videos.
Well, you do it with me every week, but hey.
Yes, only
anyhow. Yeah, I mean, you're looking at it's a situation where you've got a team that's 8-3 at home as a small dog to a team that's 6-5 going on the road. So yeah, it kind of sits up where you might say, wow, I mean, this has got to be a Minnesota play for sure, right? My wager count is about 2-1 in favor of Seattle. So Seattle's still getting support from the public, but I've got actually sharp money really split on this game. I've got two guys who are on Seattle, and I got another guy who's on Minnesota. Now the Minnesota was +1, the Seattle was +1, and also the pick -105 on Seattle. So the count favors Seattle still because a lot of the public is on Seattle thinking they've turned the corner, and my money, because of the sharp bets I took on Seattle, two of them slightly favor Seattle as well. But I mean, it's a situation where I think this number is just going to bounce, between pick and 1.5. I mean, right now I'm sitting with Seattle -1.5. I think everyone's either 1.5 or 2 out there on this one. It's probably going to hang around there. It's an interesting game for sure. It's probably the best game of the week in my opinion.
Yeah.
And it's one of those situations where with line being what it is, the +1 either way, it's just going to kind of hover around where it is. This looks like one of those cases we're going to be able to sit back and enjoy a game.
All right. Well, 3 interesting games we've already touched on from NFL Week 13. What can you tell us about the rest of the card from NFL Week 13, Brent?
We don't have as much sharp action at this point in the week, which is kind of maybe surprising, maybe not. It could be people waiting on injuries because again we're deep in the season when injuries really are kind of playing a factor now. Weather's another thing that comes into play as well. And the other thing that we have to factor in is not so much with the sharps who have deep pockets, but with all the college basketball and NBA and hockey and everything that's going on right now, all the games, it's like people are not, they're not stretching their bankroll out in terms of investing on Sunday's games on a Wednesday, for example. So you're going to see, a lot more bets come in game day or maybe Saturday afternoon. But I do have the Cleveland Browns as a sharp play. I ask with a question. Yeah, I mean, I got sharp action on Cleveland. It is what it is. I just gotta, I just report what I see here.
Yeah, no, that doesn't surprise me.
Cincinnati. It was actually the 10.5, which was sharp on Cleveland. Now that was when the line was at 10. Sharp guys bought a half point on Cleveland to the +10.5. Cincinnati's a 9-point favorite right now on the road at Cleveland. So, and again, that could be a situation where eventually weather comes into play. But the 10.5 was key for the play on Cleveland. Going all the way down to Denver and San Diego. May not surprise you that San Diego is a sharp play. Sharps came in on San Diego +4.5. That was where the sharp stuff came in. Had some kind of deeper pocket bets came in on the +4. We're sitting Denver -3.5, sometimes like 3.5 -15 right now. My count still way one side on Denver. I mean, even bigger than the New England need. This Denver game, I've got my chart is about 7-1 almost in favor of Denver in terms of the actual number of wagers. So the sharps did come in on San Diego. So my chart in terms of actual money wagered on this game is almost dead even. But as I touched on, the wager count is way one side in terms of Denver. Dallas +5. That's the Monday night game. They are at Washington. Line's down to 4 right now. My straight bet chart favors Washington. My parties and teasers and everything also favors Washington. My money favors Dallas, so I've got a nice sharp public split there. So Cleveland +10.5, San Diego +4.5, Dallas +5, and the Eagles +10.5. Those were the sharp plays that we had for this week, Peter.
Okay, interesting week, Brent from BetDSI. Thanks so much. We will talk to you again next week for Week 14.